All right, hello Tar Heel Nation. Welcome college basketball fans. We're here in the BGAL live studio at the New York Life ACC Men's Basketball Tournament. I'm here with Rick Ferry. It's an honor to have you here, Rick. And just going to ask you a few basketball questions.
Can we get over our crying first? Because you're out, my son's
I
out,
spent all last night already doing it.
Sad.
And a little bit this morning even. So we're just going to talk general basketball and get your wisdom because you know a lot more about it than I do. So we were talking a little about recruiting before we started recording, and I was wondering if you could just kind of compare when you were recruited to John and Brent when they went through it to your last son, just kind of the differences, any similarities.
Well, the difference is night and day. I mean, back when I never even visited my school. I went to the University of Miami and never even took a visit. I mean, now these kids are getting recruited and they're talking to them when they're in junior high school, for heaven's sake. It's become a big time project, so it's totally different. Unfortunately, I think that sometimes they blow things out of proportion. These kids get these big heads and they think there's something really special when they're really not. They're just a lot more fortunate that God gave them some natural skill and ability which could provide them with an opportunity to hopefully get an education. A lot of them obviously don't do that. They go out with the hardship rule and take care of their families, which I can't really blame them for doing that if they're coming from a difficult situation and they can turn their families' lives around. I certainly don't blame them for doing that, but it's a different world. It's totally different. I don't think it's been great for the game necessarily because it's inhibited the development of the players. It's kind of like with what we're doing with New York Life. You got to understand how to take care of your life from a financial end as well. And I learned that early. I was actually a life insurance agent in college. So I learned about it, especially about mutual companies. So it's the same kind of a correlation there. You have to learn how to be able to take care of yourself in the best way possible. And so that's why I'm excited to be here with New York Life. And I love the be good at life thing. My father always told me, just give your best effort in everything you do and try to take care of life in the best way possible. But these young kids, I feel sorry for them in some respects because it gets overwhelming at times.
And it definitely develops their character in a different way.
Yeah, and it all depends upon who their peers are and who's guiding them to not let it get to their head to the point where it does something of a negative nature. So it's interesting to see. We'll see what happens. Excuse me for this because I didn't realize I didn't have my phone turned off.
No, that's probably more important than what we're doing.
No, it's probably not.
So you talked about you didn't even visit Miami when you went. What made you pick Miami?
Well, first of all, I came from the Northeast in this area as I crossed the river over to New Jersey, and I didn't want to spend my winters here. I wanted to get as far away from cold weather as possible, and couldn't get much further than University of Miami in Florida. And I also liked the program. I was done with my senior year in high school, and I hadn't turned 17, so I was really young, and I was a skinny little runt, just like all my boys have been. And I just didn't feel going to a big program that brought in all these big-time all-America guys from high school. That I wanted to go someplace where they played basketball the way that I was taught how to play. And I also wanted to go someplace where I liked my coach, because I had an unfortunate situation where the coach that I had, I really wanted to quit the team. He was a screamer, a hollerer, and I don't respond well to that. I mean, he could never be more upset with me for what I did wrong on the court than what I would be to myself, because I knew the game. I mean, so I didn't need somebody screaming it in my face. And my father and my brother, actually, my father was a semi-pro player and coach, they had to talk me into staying because I really wanted to stop playing in my senior year. And fortunately, I didn't do that. And so going to a place where they had a great coach, and as it turned out, the coach who was there, he actually wound up becoming my father. I actually married his daughter. And so he played a pro-style game of basketball. And so that's why I was able, I think, to make the impact I made. It's very rare that a kid comes into the NBA back when you had to go through 4 years and makes first-team All-Pro. I was a first-team All-Pro player. I just was 21 years old. But the reason being is I spent 4 years in college, like being in the minor leagues, training for it. We played pro-style basketball. And this is a great one for it. So in 1965, 64-65 season, my college basketball team averaged, without the three-point shot, 99 points a game. That was fun.
So is it weird for you to have Miami in the ACC now? Are you used to saying they're in the ACC?
Yeah, because we were independent, and we played all over the country. We didn't play in any conference at all. So yeah, but it's great that they're in it. It's a great conference, obviously. The ACC is one of the power conferences. It has been one of the great conferences for many, many years. Incredibly competitive. Your school, obviously, one of the premier schools for many, many decades that have always been at the top, always had great coaches and great teams. So, but that's why you have to play the games, because I don't think anybody expected you guys were going to lose to Duke this year.
Yeah, well, at the beginning of the year they did, but then once it got going.
But that's I'm counting now and
right.
in the next one. But even then, better, if you're going to lose to them, better to lose now than lose in the next series.
That's competition. Right. We need to be reminded of that.
Yes.
So you talked about planning for the future. As your sons are being recruited, what kind of advice did you give them about picking a school? Was it the coach, kind of like you said? Is it the program and style of play, or kind of all of it?
Well, the only thing that I gave advice on is the way that the team played. I looked at how they played and thought, and had to consider, would this be something that my son could play in that type of basketball and have fun doing it? And so I just gave my advice on that, and I always had them make the decision. You never, as a parent, want to tell your kids where they should go or shouldn't go, because the last thing you want is them coming back to you saying, well, you told me I should have gone there. No, you make your own decision, son, and you live with it. And so that was one of the primary things. And I said, you really got to make sure you really like the coach and you like the school. Because as far as the NCAA is concerned, when you make your decision to go there, it shouldn't be about the coach. It's supposed to be about the school. But let's face it, the reality of it is about the coach and the basketball program and all, but that's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way it's designed to be. So that's why it's important to make sure that you enjoy that experience and have a place that you enjoy the student body, you enjoy the curriculum that they have, you enjoy the facilities that they have, and that becomes an important part of your maturation.
So you were kind of a pioneer going from a player into a broadcaster, something like this. Not many people, or I don't know if anybody had done that really.
Well, that happened in football. That's why I got into it, because I grew up here in the New York metropolitan New Jersey area, and so I watched. Actually, I watched Pat Summerall and Frank Gifford for the Giants, who I was a fan of the football Giants, and so I watched them go from their careers to going into basketball, and from football into the broadcasting booth. And I said, wow, that'd be really cool. I think that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to become a professional athlete and then go into broadcasting. So I studied. Well, I majored in marketing in the business school, but you couldn't take a minor. But I probably had enough credits to have a major, because I took all the radio, TV, film, speech courses, everything I could that related to doing broadcasting type of work, and really enjoyed that. And I'm one of the very lucky people who have had the opportunity to have their goals that they set for themselves in life and their dreams actually come true.
So again, we talk about preparing for life. You knew you wanted to be a broadcaster even before your playing days were long over.
Yeah, for sure. Again, I got to do the best job in the world is being a professional athlete, playing a sport that you love and you have a passion for. The second best job is getting to talk about it and having somebody actually pay you to do that. You stay in nice hotels, you're flying around, they're paying you your expenses, and you get to talk about a game that you love, and somebody pays you for it. So I tell kids all the time, when I enjoy speaking to children, because and younger kids especially, because I try to emphasize to them that it's so critical in life to find a passion, something that you really love. Because if you apply yourself to that, just like in sports, and learn the fundamental principles and concepts of whatever that happens to be, you're laying the foundation to be built on, because you can't build a tall building on a small foundation. It's going to topple over. And I said, just look at me. I did that. I did that with basketball and broadcasting. And someone was paying me to do what I love to do. I said, that is not work. That's not having a job. That's being a very lucky individual to get paid for doing what you love to do.
Absolutely. So it's pretty easy probably to see why your sons ended up as broadcasters now as well.
Yeah, it's really amazing when I think about it to have, to have 5 sons. All 5 of them get Division I college basketball scholarships. 4 have already played professionally, 3 in the NBA. My oldest son, Scooter, should have been in the NBA because it was just timing, because there was only 12-man rosters. When he came out of Kansas in '80, and he was on the championship team with Danny Manning in '88 there, he played with Roy Williams the year after Larry, when he played for Roy. And so he comes out, and Bird and McHale say, Rick, your son should have made our team. But they had 13 no-cut contracts and only 12-man rosters. And so he played overseas and played until he was 40 years old. And then I have my son Canyon in Division I, obviously, and I think he has a chance to be a professional player as well if somebody gives him the opportunity. I don't think people have really seen him the way he should be. It's kind of like looking at the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to him that he's not been able to show. And hopefully somebody will give him the opportunity to do that. He's got some pretty good pedigree going for him.
Yeah, I would say so. You've done something right. Once you know that secret, make sure you tell them.
They got some genes. And Canyon is different because his mother, his mom Lynn, was the only woman to have her jersey retired at William and Mary. In fact, one of the things I'm proudest of is my wife and my son are the only mother-son combination in the history of the NCAA Division I college basketball to have a mother be on first team academic All-America 2 times, and the son on first team academic All 2 times. And my son Canyon this year was chosen as the academic All-America player of the year, and I'm really proud of him for that.
Wow. So you talked about your genes and your accomplishments. Your playing days are a little bit before my time, but I've seen the list. Is there one accomplishment that sticks out to you?
Well, thank you for saying a little bit. It's probably a lot. Yeah, you know, the only accomplishment that matters is this: championship ring. I equate getting all these different awards to taking the icing, the candles, all of the beautiful things you put on top of the cake, the cherries, stick them on a plate. They don't look that good. You gotta have the cake. This is the cake. You play for this, and that's what it was all about. I played to try to help my team win, and I played the game the way it was meant to be played. I was lucky to be taught by a dad who was a former coach and an outstanding player in the semi-professional leagues, and was able to put the time and the effort into it and have just an incredibly blessed life. And looking forward to seeing what my son Canyon winds up doing with his career. But it's a pleasure to hear to talk to you. Continued success to North Carolina. And remember, everybody, be good at life, New York Life, because that's where you want to go to get a coach to help you with that part of your life.
All right, and we're going to end it on this one. Everybody has seen the commercial, the New York Life commercial. How many takes did it take to get the blindfold?
Here's the thing: is people like even my friend. I knew if somebody was going to ask me the question. I'm one of them with the blindfold. Say, how did you know that it went in? I mean, how did you know if you were blindfolded? I said, it's simple. I heard the swish, plus the fact that the moment it left my hands. See, I shot enough of them. I know it's good when it leaves my hands. In fact, if you asked the crew who was there, they were actually giving me standing ovations because I took a full rack of 5 and hit nothing but net on 5 in a row. And so I can do that in my sleep, obviously. It's easy. In fact, I didn't know if they made a commercial out of it yet. I hope they did. I want to see the footage. If not, I did it with the blindfold on, my back to the basket, and shot it this way and hit nothing but net. So I can still do it. It's like riding a bike. It's no big deal. And you can brag about that. It's the only part of the game you can be totally selfish and brag about and help your team.
Absolutely. We got to end it there. That's great.
All right.
Thanks for being here. Till we talk again, go Heels.